The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to our show, All Aboard, live here on Armed Radio. I'm Donald Whisman, and I'm here with Dave Coots. Dave, you want to say hello?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And we do have a special guest with us tonight. Lee, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes, my name is Lee, and I'm from Butler County, Ohio, and I am actually the chair for this county for the Jim Renacci campaign. And it's all hands on deck. We are running like crazy right now. I want to put out a big shout to volunteers. We need volunteers in many ways. I just came from phone banking training where you can make phone calls to people all over Ohio. And you make it from your own phone with a microphone, and there's just 4 simple questions, but it does take training and setup and downloading the app. So we've made, I think, close to 18,000 calls to people all over Ohio. And the big question people ask about phone banking is, what's the purpose? Well, number one, it's really to get the names out. Jim Renacci isn't as well known in all parts of Ohio as one would think, especially against the opponent. Sherrod Brown's been a politician for 44 years, so his name recognition is out there. Jim Renacci really wants it to be a ground game, so we're focusing on phone banking right now, and then it's going to give Jim an opportunity to know where he's weak in the state so he can focus his attention and make some presence in those locations. Also, we're doing door-to-door for the very, very same reason. We're really not promoting any other candidate but Jim Renacci and looking at the Republican ticket all the way down the line. I can't tell you, it is so important for people to understand, be informed, make sure they're registered to vote, and actually vote on November 6th. We need everybody to vote, and to vote for those conservative Republicans. It's going to mean a lot to all of you, your grandkids, your children, your neighbors, your friends. Get those conservatives elected, not just for next year, but for the year after in 2020 when we have another presidential campaign. And I think Dave and Don can tell you we had a whirlwind Trump train back in 2016.
Yes.
We want to make sure that that train is still running like gangbusters in 2020. So volunteers, if you want to volunteer in any way, a festival, the Butler County Fair, some of you may be out of the county, and if you're outside of Butler County, your county people can actually use you just the same way that we're doing it in Butler County. So just, right on, what do you call it, Dave and Don, on the screen?
Great, Dave.
Are you talking about our Armed Radio page? Or
Yes.
All Aboard?
Uh-huh.
It's All Aboard with Don and Dave.
Or you can text me. My name's Don Whisman on Facebook. If you want to help or anything like Lee said, we do need to get rid of Sherrod Brown. He's a Democrat in the state of Ohio. He's not done anything for our state. We need Jim Renacci in the U.S. Senate. We need him there very bad. And that would be helping Trump. I mean, anything that I can do to help my president, I'm going to do. And that's what we can do, is get out and vote, because that's a patriotic thing to do. If you want to be patriotic, go vote. We need Jim Renacci. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. And if I've said it before, guys. We have to capitalize on the momentum. I know Lee talked about, riding into Trump train in 2016, and we need to bring this into these midterm elections. We don't need a blue wave. We need that red lava wave that we've talked about before, because if we do that, it's going to make our president's job so much more easier, and it's going to secure the future for our grandchildren and our great grandchildren for time to come.
Yeah, and that's what it's
absolutely.
about, you guys.
So volunteering, I mean, anything that you can do, I mean, just let either Don or Dave know, and we'll get in touch with you and be able to get something out there for you to do. The other thing that we're really focusing on is voter registration. We had people, and I know Don and Dave can tell you this, back in 2016, that had never voted before. But because Trump was running and people were tired of the way the country was going, they registered to vote, and they did vote, and Trump did get in.
They were fed up, Lee. They got fed up. I think the country got fed up with the way that things were going in the country with the Obama administration.
Well, they really were fed up, and I think that what I'm hoping is that they stay that energized. That's what we try to preach on the show, is you have to keep that momentum moving forward. You can't just get that burst of energy and then let it die out, because if we do that, then that's just empowering other people to come in and set the agenda for you.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. That voter registration, by the way, the deadline is October 9th. Now, I know that's pretty far away, but doing door-to-door, I know myself, I gave out 5 voter registration forms in the past week, because things happen in households. They move, people move back in, children come back in, they come home from college, parents move in. Lots of things happen, and they forget about that voter registration. And then they wait till the last minute, and guess what? Then they can't vote. So we are really focused on making sure everyone in every household is registered to vote, especially for November. Now, just a little bit about Renacci, because last night I was asked by 3 individuals, I see you have the Renacci sticker on your shoulder. What's he all about? I've not even heard of the name. And I have to tell you, he's an energy bunny. He's like Trump. I don't think he sleeps a whole lot. He's always on the move. And of course, he has been in the House in Washington, D.C. for the past 6 years. And he had an opportunity to run as governor in Ohio. However, in the spring, Trump called him to Washington. He said, Jim, I know you're a conservative, and I need you in Washington. I need you in the Senate. Is there any way you will consider about leaving the governor race and coming to the Senate? And he talked it over with his family over the weekend, called Trump back on Monday. He said, you got me. I'm running for the Senate now. So you can see that he is very dedicated. He's been a businessman all of his life up until the past 6 years. He has a very great business sense. He's owned 60 businesses. He's hired over 1,500 people. He's turned companies around and had them making money that were faltering, and that's what he did with a lot of them. And it's not just one industry. He's had healthcare. He's had auto industry. He's been in manufacturing. He's bought and turned companies around. He got duped, though, by legislators when the auto industry took a tumble years ago, and they told him he was not going to lose his GM dealership. However, you know how that went, and he did lose it. And he decided on that day forward, I need to turn things around. I need to go to Washington and try to make a difference for this country. And so that's what he's done. He's conservative. Someone asked me tonight, I need to know, is he a Christian? Yes, indeed, he's a Christian. He'll leave a rally just to go to his religious, weekly events.
I do know that he owns a CC. He's got a CCW license too. He told us that at a rally.
Yes, and he's been endorsed by the NRA. He's definitely, obviously, for Second Amendment, for pro-life. He did vote for the tax cuts, and he is on the Trump agenda. And that's really why Trump wants him in the Senate, because Jim told us 2 weeks ago, he said the House has actually passed 400 bills, and they've sent it over to the Senate. And he said, I guarantee you, many of those bills will die. The Senate will not even pass them. They won't even go anywhere. They'll die for the year, and then they have to start all over again. So you can see why Trump needs him in the Senate, because if it gets through the House and it dies in the Senate, then Trump can't move his agenda forward and get things done.
Right, and I think the Senate is obviously a lot closer in number between the two parties. So I think that's why we're running into so many obstacles in the Senate versus the House.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We need him. We need Jim Renacci in the Senate.
We do need Jim Renacci bad.
Yes.
We both endorsed him. We both endorsed him on the show during the primaries. Like I said, I endorsed him after Donald did, and that I went back and looked at his voting record. And when you go back and you look at his voting record and the things that he stands for, you can tell that he's a true conservative, and he's definitely on board with the Trump agenda. He's going to be an excellent senator.
Yeah, he is. And, people have commented on his voting record, and he said, I have to be honest with you. Sometimes they give us these bills the night before, and they said, read it because you're voting on it tomorrow.
Wow.
And then he says, you open it up, and you think, okay, this bill is titled da-da-da-da, and you get in there, and they've slid other things that you're not for inside that bill.
And honestly, Lee, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have right now is
right.
a lot of those rider bills. They take a good bill that would help the American people, and they attach so much stuff to it that in the end, that bill never makes it through anyway because of everything they've attached to it.
That's right. And he said, I have to be honest with you. Some of these bills, when I look through it and I see things that absolutely go against the grain of my being, he said, that's why I vote no. Because if I voted yes, I am really, hurting the American people. And
go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You have to respect that. You have to respect somebody that's willing to stand up and do that. Me and Donald have talked about that before. I think with the establishment candidates, a lot of them, the so-called establishment candidates, they're going to put that bill in front of a newer House member or senator, and they're going to say, vote. We're voting tomorrow, and you're going to vote yes. So we need people that are able to have the conviction and the wherewithal to stand up and say, no, I'm not voting for that because it doesn't help my constituents. It doesn't help the American people. It doesn't move our agenda forward.
Right. That's absolutely right. And, one thing I do tell the voters when we're out campaigning and going door to door, I said, it's one thing to vote for a candidate and get them elected, but it's another thing, once they're elected, we need to be watching them. We need to be engaged with them.
I agree with that.
Make sure that they, understand our opinions and what we believe in, and call them on it. And we haven't done that so much in the past. I think we're starting to do that. Jim Renacci tells it like it is. He said a lot of these politicians, and is certainly his opponent, they do things for the next election, for their next election, to get them elected. He said, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it for the right reasons and for our country.
Well, you're absolutely right. Go ahead, Dave.
That's powerful.
That is powerful, and that's what's going to set him apart. And I think that's the type of man that it's going to take to beat his opponent, the name that we shall not say.
We don't want to give him any airtime, but we'll go ahead and say it. We're trying to get rid of Sherrod Brown here in Ohio.
Yes, he has
everybody, if you can help Lee, she works down at the Butler County Republican headquarters. Send me a message if you want to help out, and I'll get it to Lee. Anything you can do to help Jim, let's get rid of Sherrod Brown. Trump needs Jim Renacci.
Does anybody have any questions out there? I know I've talked quite a bit, but does anybody in the audience have any questions? Dave or Donald, do you have any?
Pretty much, we've already endorsed him. I mean, we've been watching everything he's been doing, unless Dave's got something.
No, like I said, I come on the Renacci, the bandwagon, if you will, a little bit later on than Donald did, because I did take the time to look at his voting record, and I think if everybody out there takes the time to do some research on Jim Renacci, they're going to find out how solid of a candidate this man is, how conservative he is. I mean, everything that Trump needs to push that Trump agenda through, which is what's making this country great again. Jim Renacci is for. I think he's going to be a great senator.
Yeah, I do too. I've really really support him all the way. And the more I know about him, the more I like him, and I really want to support him for that very reason.
Absolutely.
It's been great talking with you guys. Call me anytime. I'd be glad to come back anytime. And
well, Lee, we got a long time before November. Well, not really that long. It'll sneak up on us before we know it. You're more than welcome to come on the show to talk about Jim Renacci anytime you'd like.
Well, have a great evening. Thanks.
And it's been a pleasure. Tell Jim I said hello.
Okay,
ahead, Dave.
Will do.
And guys, like Lee was saying, we need volunteers down at all, not just at the Butler County headquarters, but across Ohio, across the country. Guys, get out, volunteer. We've talked about momentum. Let's change this country one person at a time. So you can either get a hold of Donald on his Facebook, or you can get a hold of the All Aboard page, and we can put you in contact with Lee, or give you contact information for any of the Republican headquarters around the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you again. It's been my pleasure. Loved it.
All right. Well, thank you, Lee. I hope you like being on All Aboard.
I do.
Actually, it's short for All Aboard the Trump Train, but they had to cut it down, so they called it All Aboard. So
that's good to me.
You're on a great conservative, patriotic radio show tonight, Lee. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Lee.
Good night. Bye.
Bye, Lee.
Bye.
Well, Dave, I liked having Lee on there. I mean, instead of come on, she works for a U.S. senator, and that's a really big deal. A United States senator. You know what I'm saying? He could be a U.S. senator. He's a sitting U.S. representative right now.
Yeah, and like I said, guys, if you guys look at his voting record, it's stellar. I mean, this man, I didn't just back him without doing my research on him. Very, very pro Second Amendment. Pro life. Well, Dave, a businessman his whole life, so he understands where he understands where the normal, everyday American person's coming from. He's started and he's built himself up, and I mean that's what you have to respect. That's the American dream. That's what we all aspire to do.
And that goes for every state. If you got a good conservative guy running for senator in your state, I know there's only 100 senators. Each state gets 2. Your state might not have a senator. Well, I think every state's got 1 senator, don't they, running, Dave? Don't they do it on off years like this?
I'm almost positive they do.
But just check them out, like she was talking about. Check the people out before you vote for them. Just don't send the wrong person there. And I think we was talking earlier. How many states have got had primaries today? 7 states out there. I hope they make some good decisions today. But Dave, the breaking news: the United States Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling, upheld Trump's restriction on travel to the United States from some of these Muslim countries. Finally, they rule in his favor. I mean, it's been 15 months, Dave, through all this legal hassle. 15 months.
And it just goes back to how he's being fought on every level of government. Local level, state level, the national level, even by his own party in certain certain instances. And it's kind of crazy because this is the first ruling that really validates his agenda. This has put him on track to say, okay, we want to make America great again. We want to make America safe, and to do that, this is one of the things that we need to do. This never should have happened by the Constitution, because by the Constitution, that is the federal government's job, is to enforce immigration. So it never should happen.
Well, the president's job, isn't it, to keep our country safe? That's his job, right?
That is his job. And if you look at the overall, people today, I think, are misconstrued about the role of the federal government. Our founding fathers never meant for our federal government to play a bigger part of our everyday lives as it does now. When our founding fathers wanted a limited federal government that took care of our national security and our immigration, and they wanted the states. Ultimately, the states, the power, they wanted the power to lie with the states and the people within those states. And over the course of the years, what's happened is the federal government has got more and more and more powerful, and it's not what our founding fathers intended to happen. So now you get somebody in who has an agenda that goes against 8 years prior to what everybody's used to, and it's like their heads are exploding.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And Dave, last week we talked about this illegal immigrations and families being separated down at the border. You know, remember last week? You remember? Yeah, I know you remember. But it went on all week again. That's all I've heard on what little news I watch and all the news stories I read on social network. I mean, that's all they've been talking about. But Dave, the White House, they released President Trump's weekly address on Saturdays, and if I could just play, it's less, I think it's just a little over 2 minutes. I'd like to play you our president's weekly address that was just released this past Saturday, and he pretty much tells you just about what you guys you and Lee were talking about earlier about these Democrats that he needs their votes. I mean, to get things done. But we'll listen to Trump. How's that sound, Dave? Just for 2.5 minutes here.
Sounds good.
You ready? Here we go, everybody. Here, listen to Trump's presidential address. This is from this past Saturday, everybody. All right, it'll start playing. I hope it does. Here it goes.
Our country is currently facing a crisis of illegal immigration on our southern border. Democrat-supported loopholes in our federal laws have enabled roughly 500,000 illegal immigrant family members and minors from Central America to be released into the United States since 2014 at unbelievably tremendous taxpayer expense. While illegal aliens can only be held for a period of days or weeks, it can take years to move their cases through the legal system to actually try to send them back to their home countries. It is a ridiculous process. For example, of the removal orders issued for unaccompanied alien children over a recent 2-year period, 90% were done in absentia. That means they weren't there and they never showed up for their removal hearing. What else is new? The United States cannot have an open border to every illegal alien family and minor on the face of the earth. We must have rules, we must have laws, and we must enforce those laws. The driving factor in the surge of illegal families and minors is the belief that there will be no consequence for illegal entry and no likelihood of removal or reprisal. Unfortunately, open border Democrats support the loopholes that prevent families from being detained and removed together. They just want everyone to be released into our country, no matter how dangerous they are. They can be killers, they can be thieves, they can be horrible people. The Democrats say it's okay for them to be in our country. I don't think so. Congress and Congress alone can solve the problem. And the only solution that will work is being able to detain, prosecute, and promptly remove anyone who illegally crosses the border. Remember this, we need Democrat votes. Without the Democrats constantly obstructing, there's no way you can do it. Without having Democrats voting, there is no way you can get this done. So the Democrats are obstructing. The Democrats don't want border security. The Democrats are okay with crime, but we're not okay with it. We need Democrat votes. Without it, frankly, nothing can be done.
Well, that's it. That's Trump. Trump said it himself. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, I don't know how he can explain it any better, Dave. I mean, I just don't know why anybody would go against a man who is trying to protect this country. And I know we keep talking about this over and over, but it continues to happen, Dave, and I'm getting sick of it.
Well, and we've talked about this before. You know what? I think what's happened is the parties have used to be we could find common ground for the good of the country. But it seems like here lately that you can't find any common ground with them. If you're willing to compromise and to do some give and take for something that you believe is in the best interest of the country, they're just slamming it in your face. I mean, you know, if you want, it's almost like if we wanted the liberals to support the Second Amendment, then President Trump needs to come on there against the Second Amendment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Dave, on Friday, now the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, I think his name is Dan Patrick, he estimated that there is up to 30 million illegal immigrants living in the United States. And you know what? Ohio, the state we live in, we're not quite at 12 million people yet. And look how big Ohio is. That's like 2.25 of Ohio, the populations. That's a lot of friggin' people in our country that we don't know that's here.
And the president, you know, has said it, and a lot of people have said it. You cannot have a country if you do not have secure borders. Period. You do not have a country. You don't have to look no further than in Europe. What's going on over there with open borders, with, you know, disarming the people. They disarm the people, then they open the borders, and then there's chaos. You know, I've said it before. You visit Paris, France now. You can download an app into your smartphone that tells that gives you no-go zones, places that aren't safe for a tourist to go, because of the situations that they're dealing with over there.
Oh, you know, he sees that, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to save our country, and I'll tell you, Dave, we got a Facebook friend. I mean, we got a mutual Facebook friend, and I did a video on this the other day that, you know what I'm talking about, right? She lives in Philadelphia, and she bought this house in Philadelphia, and when she bought it, it was a church, like, behind her house. And then after she bought the house, the church, I guess, went out of business, and these Muslims bought the church and turned it into a mosque. And she even sent me a video. These Muslims got up here on this bucket truck, cut the cross down, and let it land in a dumpster like it was a piece of trash. Dave, you don't do that to a cross in this, because this is America. And I know the First Amendment protects you for whatever religion you want to believe in, but you can't. I mean, what it is, they get in there in this church that she lives in, all right, and there's so many people that comes there, and they get their little prayer rugs out, but the church overflows, the mosque does, so there's people outside in the parking lots. And you want to hear what she has to listen to? Just a sample? Listen, wait a minute, let me go back here. Ah, crap, I messed up here, Dave. It's just a sample of what she has to listen to. If I can play it here. Here it goes. Now, would you want to listen to stuff like that, Dave, as an American from your home?
Well, I mean, you know, once again, it goes back to our First Amendment rights. But I think what I would do is I would put on me some "May the Circle Be on," you know, some old "May the Circle Be Unbroken" or "I Saw the Light" or something, and that's what I would play over my stereo system as they were playing their call to prayer. I mean, I wouldn't play it louder than theirs. I'd try to play it at the same decibel level, not disrespect them. But then, you know, I could listen to my religious music, and they can listen to their call to prayer, and everybody's happy. But here's the thing: if they call the police on you, they're going to knock on your door. If you call the police on them in Philadelphia, they're not knocking on their door.
Well, you know why? Because it's a sanctuary city, Dave, and the mayor allows this stuff to go on. I mean, they don't care. They'll turn a blind eye. They don't enforce every law. They pick and choose what laws they want to enforce. That's what sanctuary cities do. I mean, they don't care about your First Amendment right. I mean, they do. I mean, I can't say they don't care about your First Amendment right, but when it comes to giving the left what they want, they turn a blind eye. You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like they care about their rights when you agree with them. When you disagree with them, then you've got something like we've had this week that's been in the news a lot, and I know we're about to touch base on it. I know you got it right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's with Maxine Waters. I mean, if a normal everyday citizen would have made some of the remarks that this lady has made as of right now, they would already had a visit from the Secret Service, and they would probably be locked up. If they had weapons, they would have used some kind of red flag law or something to try to take their weapons away from them. I'm telling you, this lady is a fruitcake. She needs to be removed from office.
I think she needs to be locked up in a nut house. I mean, this lady actually told people to protest against anybody working for Trump, to run them out of restaurants or stores, to protest them. I think a leader like that, she's supposed to be a leader. I think she's from California, a representative. But my gosh, you can't incite. That's almost inciting violence. What's wrong with that crazy lady?
Well, I guess my question would be, where is the tolerant left when they were protesting a cake baker not wanting to participate in a gay wedding? That was completely. They were calling it rape, racist, homophobic, and all of this. But then they turned around and they want to do the same thing to people just because of their political belief. It doesn't even matter. They could have the same religious belief, but their political beliefs could be different, and they want to discriminate against them. They want to run them out of a restaurant. I tell you right now, Sarah Sanders and her whole family, they took the high road. Because, brother, I'm telling you right now, if I'm sitting somewhere and I'm getting ready to eat, and they want to come up and do that to me, they're in a world of hurt.
Yes, it's very sad. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a sweet woman. I love her dad. She's got a great dad. And I mean, they're like I said, Dave, they've been whining for 2 weeks now. Just absolutely. I've seen Rachel Maddow, shedding fake tears, and they talk about these families being ripped apart at the border. But one thing you'll never hear, and this really ticks me off, this little dirty secret the Democrats is they got set back, but you never hear nobody talking about it. What about all these unborn babies that's being ripped away from their families, that's having their life ripped away from them? That's the most ungodly thing you could do on this planet, is go in there and kill a baby. Kill a baby in these late-term abortions. You know what I'm saying, Dave? Killing babies. But they want to keep that back. I can't say all Democrats go for it, but most of them believe in that crap. These late-term abortions or whatever, it's sick, Dave. It's absolutely sick. They won't talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about aborting babies anymore.
Well, if you think back, wasn't it Hillary Clinton that said life began at birth, not conception?
Well, she's crazy too, Dave. She's crazy. She cares more about these illegal. Well, I don't think she really cares. None of these people really care about these illegal alien children. They don't care about them. It's their agenda. I mean, if they cared about anybody, they'd care about Americans. What about, like I said, the little babies that ain't even born yet? They don't care about the little babies. That's one thing I love about conservatives right there, is they're against that, Dave.
Well, and if you look at it, what they're looking at these illegals as potential votes. They're looking at it as a way to take power. And here's the reason they have to do that. Because if you look at some of these liberal controlled cities that have been liberally controlled over decades, they're in ruins. Look at Detroit. Look at Chicago. I mean, look at New York City. New York City banned the Big Gulp, for Christ's sake.
It's crazy. I think they've lost their mind, most of them. I can't say all of them. I mean, there's still some old, what you call, blue collar Democrats.
The old blue dog Democrats. There's still a lot of them out there, but unfortunately, I think that the Democratic Party as a whole, they're not Democrats anymore. They're just straight up libtards. They're libtards.
Socialist, communist, libtards. Yes, you're right. And I don't know if you read that story about Trump meeting with some of these, they call them angel families. You know what that is, Dave? That's family that's had members like their kids killed by illegal aliens. And this is what he wrote about when he met some angel families. And he wrote, "Our first duty and our highest loyalty is to the citizens of the United States. We will not rest until our borders is secure, our citizens are safe, and we finally end the immigration crisis once and for all. I mean, they're coming over here and they're just, I mean, a lot of them drink and drive, and these MS-13 gang members killing Americans and stuff. It's got to stop, Dave. It's got to stop. And it's got to stop by building that wall. I think that wall is the first thing you can do to stop this problem once and for all.
Oh, I agree. Donald, we had somebody post on here, and we'll just, it was Chrissy Reese. She wanted to know, Dave and Don, what's your opinion about Harley Davidson and Trump?
I read something about that. Go ahead, Dave. Something about tariffs or something like that?
Well, I think, I don't know if it's true or not, because like I said, I working the night shift this week, so I've kind of been asleep, but, I think it was President Trump called them out on about moving their plants and stuff overseas.
Yeah, I did see something about it, Dave. I wasn't prepared for that question tonight. I did read something about it, but I really don't know the whole story. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to report fake news.
And I think that they made a commitment to Trump that they were going to stay in the United States. I know they shut down a facility in St. Louis, I believe it was. But here's the thing. I mean, I ride a Harley Davidson. I've got a brand new Harley Davidson.
Yes, you do.
The thing is, I think that they're pricing themselves out of the market. And if you look at the motorcycle industry as a whole, anyway, what's happening is a lot of these millennials, a lot of these snowflakes, they're not riding bikes. I mean, it's just not in their agenda. They're wearing skinny jeans and playing Halo or whatever they play in their parents' basements. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're not getting out and enjoying the outdoors and riding motorcycles. They're just not doing it. Now, that's not saying not all of them, because I've got some kids that, some of my kids are millennials, and two of my sons own Harleys.
Well, I mean, a lot of these millennials, I'm going to talk about the liberal ones. I don't think they'd buy a Harley anyway, Dave. I think they'd buy them little cross rockets that's made somewhere else.
I don't even think they'd ride one, brother. Like I said, I don't think they could get their crotch across the bike with the skinny jeans they got on.
Well, I see a story here, Dave. It's about the Harley Davidson. It said Tuesday morning, President Trump tweeted additional comments about motorcycle manufacturer Harley Davidson, who announced Monday that they were shifting some of their production outside of the United States in order to avoid tariffs the EU has imposed on the U.S. So I guess they're going to ship some stuff out to try to avoid some tariffs.
Well, yeah, and what they're doing is if they move that plant there, it's almost like Honda or Toyota having a plant inside the United States to avoid the tariffs for the cars coming into our country.
So I guess they're just doing the reverse thing then. So they can sell more motorcycles abroad than inside the country.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
They're not. What they're not going to do is they're not going to move overseas and make motorcycles and then send them back into the country. The bikes that are made overseas are going to be for overseas buyers.
Well, to me, Dave, Harley Davidson is an American brand. It's an American brand.
I'm going to step in, guys, and let you know I heard today that they're going to open up a plant in Thailand, and they plan on selling to the European Union the ones that they make in Thailand.
Wow.
They had thought that they were going to do this before Trump come out with the tariffs, so it's just coincidental, and Trump saying they're using it as an excuse.
Well, Jimmy, thank you, because I really didn't know a whole lot about it. I just read that, so thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate that. And what do you think, Dave? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's we've got companies doing it to us. If you look at, like I said, Honda, Toyota, some of the car manufacturers are doing it. Honda, they have it here, and they're selling cars here. So, I mean, is it a smart business decision? Probably.
Jimmy said, it's coincidental. You know what I mean?
It's coincidental. Do I like the fact that they've shut a plant down in the United States to move it overseas to avoid tariffs? No, because you're taking...
Sales are down in the U.S. 17%. Like I said, nobody really wants a Harley anymore. They're outpricing themselves.
Exactly. They're
not a toy anymore. Now it's a luxury.
Yeah, they've priced themselves out of the market. If you look at some of these bikes, I mean,
what did you pay for yours?
Mine sticker. I didn't pay sticker price for mine, but I think mine sticker for right around $30,000.
See, you could buy a new car now for what you could buy a motorcycle for.
Well, brother, I'm telling you right now, some of those bikes, though, I have an ultra limited, and the step up above that would be a Sevo like mine, like a full dress Sevo.
Now that's a Harley, right?
It's a Harley, okay. But it's a specialized. It's called a CVO. Those bikes are running about $42,000 to $45,000.
Wow! Oh my gosh! That's a new truck. I mean, that's a big 4-wheel drive truck.
Oh, not well. It's like a 1,500. Not anymore though. That's the thing though. Go price a brand new 2,500.
Well, I guess I'm still living back in the 90s. I don't know.
About 65,000.
I haven't bought a new one since the 90s, and back in the 90s, early 2000s, you could buy a big, nice 4x4 in the late, in the late 30,000s, early, mid 40,000s. You could buy a nice truck. I can't believe that prices on all this stuff has went up. Even the food we're eating, it's outpriced, man. I don't know how we keep up.
Well, I mean, wages go up, but so does the cost of living. So
Jimmy must be listening because we said something, so he likes to listen to our show. That's a good thing. He had to come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I like Jimmy popping in like that. I don't care. But did you hear about Rhode Island, the state of Rhode Island, Dave? I know Trump didn't win this little state anyway, and I think they only got like 3 electoral college votes, but they passed a bill. I think the reps did, the state house did, to require candidates for president and vice president to make their tax returns public in order to get on the Rhode Island ballot. Now, come on. Now, they say that more states is going to follow suit with this. This is stupid. This is plumb stupid, man.
Well, and it's nothing more. It's nothing more than liberal agenda. Rhode Island is a leaning left state. It's a libtard state. It's crazy. I think it should be challenged in court.
Yes. I don't know if it'll pass their Senate, but it did pass their House of Reps. Every state's got a rep and a House of Representatives and a Senate, just like the country does. It's kind of like many country states are.
Don, I think I make you giggle every time I say libtard.
Yeah, I do. It's a funny word, libtards, but I think they're more socialist and communist than I do liberal. I mean, the word liberal, it's almost too easy for them. It's like, I'm just liberal. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know about that word, liberal. Liberal, that's just too easy for them. Let's call them what they are. Socialist, retards. I don't call them retards.
Well, see, that's why when you put, that's why you put the two together, you get libtard.
Right. I know, but I'm still for the wall. We need a wall. They're fighting our president on the wall. And I know it sounds funny and stupid, but I'm still for putting landmines in front of that wall, Dave. I would put landmines in front of it.
Well, that's not humane, but I mean,
I'm just saying.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, we can't have a secure country without a border. And our border is not secure. I know people that have come across, got caught, been sent back, come across, got caught, been sent back. It's like a yo-yo. It's like a game to them almost. And
it is funny when you say libtard, so.
you still on the libtard thing?
Yeah. Well, speaking of a libtard, do you remember that David Hogg, that 18-year-old boy that went to that school there in Florida, Parkland? You remember him?
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's went and made himself famous. He made himself famous for calling for all this gun control after that shooting down there. Now, well, he's a big VIP now. He's got a new book deal, and that's one book I won't be reading. I'll tell you that. But this guy snapped some pictures of David Hogg strolling through the streets of New York with a bunch of publicists around him. And get this, he also had a bunch of armed guards around him. So much for gun control there, Mr. Hogg, you little liberal libtard.
And that's the thing, though, is the libtards think that everyday people shouldn't have the right to defend themselves, but they want to be protected by weapons.
Well, sure. I mean, this guy with this little, I don't know, David Hogg was like big anti-gun kid. Now here he is going around with armed guards. Same with Rosie O'Donnell and the rest of these people who want your gun rights, but they sure don't want their rights taken away to be armed, but guarded by armed guards, do they?
Well, and you have to look no further than California. California passed some of the most strict gun control laws in the country, but then what do? They pass another law that exempts the legislatures from following the law that they pass. That's a violation. It should be a violation of every state's constitution. It's definitely a violation of the federal government's constitution.
Why don't our senators and our representatives get like special treatment on insurance and stuff? I mean, they don't have to buy what we buy, do they? I don't think. I mean, their salary, they get to vote. They get to vote for themselves a salary raise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, and here's the thing. I think that's one of the only jobs in the world where you can have a horrible approval rating and still vote yourself a raise.
Yeah, vote yourself a raise. And I've heard you say 100 times about term limits, Dave. I did some research today on good old Nancy Pelosi. Do you believe that she has been a U.S. representative since 1987? Yeah, if my calculations are right, that's about 31 years as a United States representative. Don't you think that's a little too long?
Oh, absolutely. I've
31 years?
Again, well, and if you look at some of those other people in those positions, Mitch McConnell,
there you go. You're back now.
If you look at Kane, look he 30, 40 years in office.
Oh.
Those people, they might as well have the names of the people that have bought them off on the back of their suit blazers. I mean, I've said it time and time again.
I heard a guitar. Was you strumming a guitar?
Yeah, that was me making sure my internet was working.
Oh, I thought you was strumming on a guitar, getting ready to sing us a song about Trump or something. I don't know.
No, you ain't gonna hear me sing, brother.
Well, I didn't even get to say, Lee came on, but I'll say it now. I didn't get to send my prayers out to the all of our men and women in the military. I usually do that in the beginning of the show, Dave, and I forgot to this time. We don't usually get guests on our shows like that, but I still want to send my prayers out to all them and say thank you to our veterans. But can you believe, now this is something I want to know if you've ever heard about this. Planned Parenthood, I was talking about this a minute ago. The Planned Parenthood affiliates, they're going to be suing the Trump administration for focusing on abstinence-only education and awarding grants to prevent teen pregnancy. I mean, they're going to sue the Trump administration over this? Really? The Planned Parenthood is? Really? Come on.
Well, where are they getting the money?
Exactly. They're getting the money from probably from the federal funds. So they're using their own our federal funds to sue the federal government.
I don't get it. The more I read every week, the madder I get. And actually, I sometimes sit down here, I laugh about this stuff. I laugh, but this is true. Everything I'm telling you guys is true. I wouldn't tell nobody fake news. Wouldn't.
Because it absolutely makes more sense to preach abstinence and waiting to have sex and not becoming pregnant than it does to preach abortion to teens, to children. Why would you even fight that? Oh, you're preaching abstinence, but you're not teaching them about abortion. Well,
what happened to all the free condoms? And they're still getting pregnant.
You tell me, it's crazy.
I mean, we all were teenagers once before. We know how it is. So, you know, they need to inform them. But I mean, they need to do everything. It needs to be a broad spectrum. The children, you know, children are smart nowadays. They can. We did it.
Yeah, we made it. We made it through. And, you know, my wife never got an abortion or anything like that. Well, you know, it ain't the abortion that kills me. It's the ones that go back and use it for birth control. That's the ones that kills me. The ones that go back over and over. I mean, I can see a girl making a mistake once. I can when they're young and they don't know what to do. But I'm talking about the ones that does it over and over and over. You know what I mean? The repeat abortionist.
Yeah, that's hard. That shouldn't happen. But I mean,
you're only allowed like 3 abortions, and then you can't have kids anymore.
Well, they do. They use it as I don't know. I just don't like to. Yeah, but I mean, don't use abortion as birth control, for Christ's sake. I mean, there's always adoption. You know, Dave and Jimmy, there's adoption. You don't have to murder.
Well,
you don't have to murder.
One of the not a bad thing about adoption, but one of the things about adoption in our country, which is why a lot of people go outside the country if they can afford it, is all the red tape that you have to go through to be able to adopt a baby inside of our country.
There you go. Red tape everywhere you look. There's so many rules and regulations, and I know it's hard. You know, you got to find a good family for a baby. But we got a guy right now. Again, we got a president that's getting rid of some of these rules and regulations. That's another thing that's destroyed our country. Regulations.
Well, do you remember when he ran on one of his campaign promises was for every new regulation, 2 of the old ones have to go bye-bye?
I think he broke that, though, didn't he? He broke the record on it, didn't he?
I think he did. I think it's more than 2 now. I think it's like 3 or 4 of them now. For every new one, 3 or 4 have went bye-bye. And it's like I said before, though. You know, our founding fathers never intended for the federal government to regulate our lives and be so involved in our everyday lives as they are now.
It's happened. It's
never
happened,
intended. It has happened. And then, when you put in the divide of the left and the right, and nobody being able to reach out and find that common ground, it's put us in a situation that we're in today, where you have representatives like Maxine Waters that are threatening. You know, she threatened to do bodily harm. She threatened to take the President of the United States out. This is a lady who has access to that man because she is a congresswoman.
Well, she should be setting example. She's a representative.
Well, she should be sitting her butt in jail. Is what she should be doing.
Well, yeah. Now you're cutting out a little bit, Dave. Can you fix your mic a little bit, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, there it goes. But anyway, yeah, she should. I mean, up till she said that, I mean, that's just unethical. That's what I'll call unethical. I'm not that educated of a guy, but I know what ethics are. That is unethical, what she did as a U.S. representative. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely, it is, and it's insightful. And I mean, if you listen to her, you know,
Dave, you're breaking up really bad. Dave, you're breaking up really bad, man. I don't even know what state you're in tonight.
Dave, hold on here, let me see.
Yeah, fix it. We don't care. It's live. Everything can happen on live radio, you know. It's live. He's a truck driver, everybody, so, I mean, it breaks up every now and then.
Yeah, how's that? Is that better?
You're coming through now, but what do you think about all this fuss? I mean, just like this fuss over Melania Trump wearing this jacket that said, "I really don't care, do you?" I mean, they took off with that like it was something grand, major, big, you know? Like would they have said that if Michelle Obama had wore a jacket like that? No.
No, nothing would have ever been. And that's the thing is, you know, the media is naturally biased anyway, just by the fact of their geographical locations. If you look at where they're based at, most of them are based on the left or the right coast, and both of the coasts lean liberal.
Yeah, and another thing our president's done since he's been in office, I seen this report the other day. 2 million people dropped from food stamps under Trump, and I think that's wonderful. I do, and because he's creating jobs. He's creating jobs. He's getting people off the system.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, that's the thing. If look at unemployment rates, minority unemployment rates, all-time lows. Everybody's unemployment rates are down since 40 or 50 years ago, So he's doing things to energize the economy. He's doing things to try to make this country great again, like he said he was going to do. He come in to office, and he's been one of the only people to ever come in and actually try to fulfill campaign promises, and he's been fought at every step of the way.
Absolutely, and gets some credit. I mean, the man's done so much for this country, and I want to tell you that there's these protesters calling themselves Occupy ICE. You know what ICE means, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I mean, they've been going around different ICE headquarters, blocking entrance and stuff. I mean, they're wreaking havoc all over the country.
Well, what needs to happen is when they do that, then they need to the ICE agents need to come in. They need to circle them. Every one of them need to be vetted, and if they're illegal, they need to just take them right on into the building, and then find out where they come from and ship their butt back. That's the thing. The American people have to take our country back, period. Lee talked about it earlier in the show. Conservatives have to be energized. Conservatives have to realize that we can no longer just sit on the sidelines. It's not enough just to go out and cast your vote anymore. Now you need to get out. You need to be energized. You need to be involved. You need to volunteer, guys. Your party needs you. Your party needs you to be involved. They need you to be energized. They need you to hold these representatives accountable for the stuff. Just the days of just voting and sitting on the sidelines are over. It's not that way anymore. We have to be involved. We have to get out. We have to vote. We have to volunteer. And if we do that, every person in this country can make a difference.
Yes, you can make a difference. That's what I've been telling everybody. And we just got our 1 minute poke, man. I had some more stuff I want to talk about. Maybe we'll get to it next week. But Dave, I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody goodbye, and God bless everybody. You end the show.
All right, and we always like to end the show with a shout out to the troops. Normally that's how we start it, and we like to end it the same way. Whether you're serving overseas or at home, we just want you guys to know that we love you. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you, and we also want to issue a challenge tonight to all the conservatives across this country. Get yourselves energized. Get out. Volunteer. You, as a conservative, have to be the deciding factor to make a difference in these midterms that are coming up. Get out, vote, get out, volunteer, and make a difference.
Amen. I'm into that. Get up and vote. Get out and vote. That's the end of our show. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one. Till next week.